And you mentioned some of the improved teams in the division. I think you can maybe argue a little bit about which team is most improved, but I kind of know where my vote goes when it goes to the NFC West in terms of the most improved teams that are there. And maybe you take into account the last couple of years as opposed to just this offseason, because there's still things we need to see. But when it comes down to it, I'm really excited about the Arizona Cardinals in the NFC West. To help us talk about all of the excitement around the Cardinals, we're going to welcome in our guys, Bo Brack and Alex Clancy of Locked On Cardinals. You can catch them every Monday through Friday, not only on your favorite podcast provider, but also on YouTube as well. The Locked On Cardinals YouTube page is live. You can follow Bo on Twitter at Bo Brack, and you can follow Alex on Twitter at Clancy's Corner. Gentlemen, thanks so much for coming through. How are you today?
What's up, guys?
Doing great, man.
Very glad to have you both here with us. Y'all had a fantastic conversation over on Locked On Cardinals this past week. We were talking about this team being as exciting as they are. Kyler Murray, extremely exciting. Talked to his longtime trainer. What are some of the things that you took away from that conversation?
It's really funny because Kyler Murray, everybody wants to hear from the kid, right? He's just
right.
This incredible athlete, but he's very reserved. He's very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of an introvert. He's not like us. He doesn't like to talk in front of a microphone on a daily basis. So Stephen Baca is his longtime friend and trainer, and he loves to talk. And he told us things that we didn't know about Kyler Murray and things that gave us confidence that, there's been rumblings. There's been just rampant speculation about, what his transition from year 2 to year 3 has been. Mm-hmm. And it's got to have every Cardinals fan who's listened to it. And if they haven't, I encourage them to check them out on our YouTube page or our podcast. Listen to Steven just talk about how he's putting in the work, about how Kyler Murray, he breathes the NFL. He breathes competition. It's either he's playing video games, he's working out, or, he's not doing anything else. So it's got to have you hyped that Kyler Murray, a guy who had 37 total touchdowns in his second season, is going to continue to make the jump and could be in that Josh Allen, area next season, which is just exciting. He was in the MVP conversation last year.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I want to throw something interesting at you guys as well, because I saw something, I don't know where it was. It was about a week or a week and a half ago, but there was a possibility about this baseball talk with Kyler Murray. Now, it's not off the table yet. Can you address those concerns with Cardinals fans? I know you probably have already done it on the Locked On Cardinals podcast, but for anybody that's watching this and maybe missed out on that, is there a reason to be concerned about Kyler maybe pursuing a career in baseball if something doesn't work out in the football realm? Because this is a big year for him and Cliff Kingsbury.
That's a very interesting way of asking it. Should there be any concern? Because let me tell you why. So Bo and I talked about this, and Kyler Murray's first love was baseball. This is how I equate it to. If you heard it on the podcast, apologies. That was his high school girlfriend. Okay. Right. Baseball was. And then this college girl that he didn't even know women could be this beautiful came into his life. He's like, sorry, high school girlfriend. I'm going to go into the bright lights of football now. And then now he's thinking, man, I really loved my high school girlfriend. So it's kind of this thing where it's just an existential situation for him where it's like, he's a baseball player by personality. Yeah. Like, he's quiet, he's reserved. Right, sure. He's a baseball player by personality. He's not an NFL quarterback by personality. There's no wrong personality to have. But I asked Bo this, if you just take away his picture, his height, his weight, whatever, and you put his attributes down on a piece of paper, and you would ask baseball or football, you say, oh, baseball, which is like the weirdest. It's just a weird situation to put into this where, no, there's no way in hell he's going to go play baseball right now, at least. Unless the Diamondbacks somehow get his rights and, you get weird in the same city. But, no, it's not concerning. It's just fun to hear him talk about baseball. Yeah. Because that he loved it maybe more than he let on, because he's been this all-world star since he came into the league.
But how is it the one that got away?
Yeah.
Really. But when you kind of put everything down on paper and you realize, like, franchise quarterback money is – you're not going to go ride a bus in the minor leagues.
Right.
When you're going to make upwards of $40 million in 2 years like Kyler Murray's going to do a season. It's not worth it. He's going to have to take his lumps and go play in the minor leagues. Like, no Major League Baseball team is going to be taken seriously if they just say, hey, Kyler, we're going to give you a starting role. You're going to come over here and you're going to play. No, he's got to take his lumps in the minor leagues. Why would you do that? Why would you give up the life of a franchise quarterback and the type of money that they're going to make, the guaranteed dollars, to go ride a bus? Nobody's going to do that. And I don't care if it's the Diamondbacks that get his rights or if Oakland moves to Vegas, which could be a reality at some point, which is closer to Arizona. It's not going to happen anytime soon, if ever.
He's going to be, yeah, I can tell you this. He'll be better than Tim Tebow as a baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And quarterback.
He'll be better than Tim Tebow as a tight end, too, if you want to give him a shot.
We need to see that happen.
Oh, I love it. Guys, one of the other things I wanted to ask a little bit about is this new linebacker tandem in town for the Arizona Cardinals. Isaiah Simmons, Zaven Collins. I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Kime or if it was somebody else that referred to them as the most beautiful linebacker duo in the NFL. Was it Cliff? Yeah. Most beautiful linebacker duo in the NFL. What do fans need to know about the most beautiful linebacker duo in the NFL when it comes to these guys?
I mean, it's never happened before in the NFL history. These guys are tall, they're bigger, and they're inside linebackers. I mean, it just it doesn't make any sense. Now, that's not to say it won't work. We saw Bo brought up a really, really funny a point this past week on the podcast where Isaiah Simmons has some Bobby Boucher in him.
I love it so much. Oh my god!
And it's just like when he said it, I'm like, sweet mother, he's right. And the one hit that popped in my head was the hit that cost the Cardinals the game against the Patriots, where he just threw Cam Newton out of bounds, and it was called a late hit. And Cam Newton went parallel to the ground like Bobby Boucher would hit somebody. Zaven Collins is the question mark, really, because he's bigger than Isaiah Simmons. Mm-hmm. And Bo says he's beefy. That's it. That's example Bo uses. Mm-hmm. I mean, we just don't see this size players. Yeah, we don't see these size players playing inside. Right. So this is Kime's job if it doesn't work this year. And it's beautiful, maybe. I would love to see it work. We just haven't one time seen this happen in NFL history. So that's where the interesting part lies.
Yeah, Zaven Collins, 6'4", 260 throughout the draft process. We'll see what his actual playing weight is, but he's got a couple of C's in that thickness, that's for certain. So is he somebody that you are going to see them maybe rotate in to be a pass rusher every now and then, or is the focus for him specifically going to be inside?
He's going to be the Mike linebacker. He's already been tabbed. They're starting Mike, and it looks like you'll probably get a little mo from Isaiah Simmons, who only played about 35% of the snaps last year.
Right,
yeah. That snap count's going way up for both of these guys. I mean,
should be.
And Kai, I mean, you've invested back-to-back first-round picks. You did back-to-back first-round picks on the quarterback position. You finally got it right with Kyler Murray, not Josh Rosen. And now they're trying to get it right with the linebacker position. And it's not a position that, like the inside linebacker, people criticize organizations that utilize those first on that position because you think you can find it later in the draft. You can find it on the free agent market. But, man, if it does work, Ross, as he said, Cliff Kingsbury says they're the prettiest linebacker duo probably in the league. But if they can put it together, that's the biggest if. Can they get enough playing time to make an impact and then not have those like young player mistakes be made in a very tough division where the stakes are very high for this Cardinals team? That's going to be huge for both Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah, and real quick, just to piggyback on that, what we saw from Hassan Reddick in his play over the last 4 years before he left was he was underutilized the first 3 years playing inside linebacker. Then they let the kid eat on the outside last year, and he got a contract somewhere else. If Steve Keim can learn from that, and as you mentioned, move Isaiah Simmons potentially to the outside with how much of a mauler he is, they may be able to kind of trim the fat on waiting a couple of years before letting Isaiah Simmons potentially play in his natural position of go see quarterback, hit quarterback. I mean, if they could do that early, it may expedite the process a little bit for these guys.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you guys something
last year. It's crazy.
6. Well, so that interesting because in Vance Joseph's defense too, Justin Simmons had to learn corner, nickel, safety because the Broncos were just. I don't know. Do you feel like that's going to get a guy to overthink too much? I mean, that's a possibility. But I wanted to ask you about something. I had the opportunity to have a question answered somehow on the Flying Coach podcast with Sean McVay, Peter Schrager, and it was the episode with Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know if you guys had a chance to hear it. Did you guys hear it yet?
I heard bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces of it. Yeah.
The funny story about Cliff Kingsbury needing an extra sideline pass for one of his Instagram model friends. I mean, that is the story. I mean, if you want to know a little bit more about the Cardinals head coach, we're talking about guys who he's saying, "Hey, we have the most beautiful linebacking duo." Cliff Kingsbury, man, he cracks me up. So you got to go back and listen to that interview. That was a great insight into Cliff from Sean McVay.
He's got the slow jams voice too.
He really does. He really does. Like he could podcast if he wanted to. He really could.
K2 though, you wish he would be more of himself because I feel like the players get a sense of who he is, but the media, the fan base, at some point he's starting to he buttoned it up, and he needs to loosen up a little bit but the pressure's on. This is make or break for Cliff. It's easy to go from 3 wins to 5 wins and then 5 wins to 8 wins. This is where we're going to find out a lot about K2.
But yeah, Cody, I heard that part, and it's out of like a real world road rules challenge where these guys know each other for a long time and they're doing little backdoor deals. Like Sean McVay, so pretty much he asked Sean McVay for a field pass day of, texting him day of, hey man, what's up? Hey, I don't talk to other coaches on game day. Hey, I need a field pass for my lady friend. Like how we know a couple of things about Cliff Kingsbury. One, he hasn't had a carb since 1997. And then 2, he loves his Instagram models. I mean, that's pretty much it. And 3, he can coach a little bit.
Oh, man, that's going to be a great autobiography one day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, wait. Autobiography for Cliff or the Instagram model? Because I'd be curious to hear both, honestly.
Might be both, honestly.
A lot of anecdotes.
I'd be very curious.
There's going to be a reality TV show coming up with Cliff. I guarantee it.
Just give me the
Kicking it with Cliff. Kicking it with Cliff.
There it is.
It's going to be a thing. Guys, we appreciate it as always. You guys taking the time to join us. Y'all are absolute regulars here for the Sunday show, and we really appreciate you always being willing to take the time to join us. As you saw in the chat here, we're not the only ones that believe that the Cardinals are going to be better than folks expect. So you're getting some love from fan bases as well. This is a Saints fan that's saying this, by the way, my good friend at Expat Adventure on Twitter. But guys, we appreciate you so much for taking the time. Remember, you can find these gentlemen on Locked On Cardinals on your favorite podcast provider, as well as over on YouTube as well. You can follow at Bo Brack at Clancy's Corner as well. And of course, you can catch Bo on Mondays over on the Locked On NFL podcast as well. Guys, we appreciate you coming through and for being with us here again.
Thanks, guys.